Today we are going to dive deep into a subject that has shaken the foundations of Real Madrid and that could mark a decisive turning point in the club's modern history: the uncertain future of Vinicius Jr. This is not just another rumor, nor the typical speculation that floods the media during the transfer windows. What we are witnessing is a genuine phenomenon that stretches far beyond the pitch. It has become the central theme in every corner of the Santiago Bernabéu. It dominates sports radio and television programs. It fills the headlines of Spain's most influential newspapers. It fuels conversations in bars, cafes, and supporters' clubs, and it spreads like wildfire across social media platforms, where every gesture, every phrase, and even every silence from the Brazilian forward is dissected under the sharpest lens. Vinicius is not just another player. His arrival to Real Madrid in 2018 already generated shockwaves. The club invested close to €45 million to secure him from Flamengo when he was still a teenager, a decision that many analysts at the time described as reckless or premature. The expectations were immense, and the scrutiny even harsher. His early performances showed flashes of brilliance but also glaring weaknesses: hesitation in front of goal, imprecise finishing, and questionable decision-making. Critics were quick to pounce, labeling him raw, unfinished, and perhaps not ready to bear the weight of the most demanding shirt in football. But even during those formative seasons, one quality stood out above all: fearlessness. Vinicius never hid. He demanded the ball, he attacked defenders without hesitation, and he revealed a character that, despite his youth, suggested he was destined for greatness. Time confirmed what many doubted. Vinicius exploded into one of Real Madrid's brightest stars and arguably the most electrifying winger in world football. His pace, audacity, and flair became central to Madrid's attacking identity. Season after season, he grew into a nightmare for defenders, a magnet for fouls, and a decisive figure in crucial matches. He scored in Champions League finals, dismantled defenses with his dizzying dribbles, and became the man who turned impossible scenarios into legendary comebacks. His partnership with Karim Benzema for several seasons became a lethal weapon, an understanding that produced countless goals and moments of magic. And as Madrid transitioned into a new era, Vinicius stood as a symbol of the next generation, linking up with Rodrigo, Camavinga, Valverde, and later Jude Bellingham, giving fans the sense that the future was already here. And yet, football is unpredictable. In recent months, uncertainty has overshadowed his future. Despite being tied to the club until 2027, his contract renewal has hit a standstill. What seemed like a straightforward priority has suddenly become a delicate and complicated issue. Real Madrid, known for its strict financial discipline, appears reluctant to rush into concessions that could disrupt the wage hierarchy within the squad. On the other side, Vinicius and his representatives are well aware of the interest from Europe's elite clubs. Teams willing to offer astronomical wages, guaranteed status, and projects built around him as the undisputed star. The result? A looming dilemma. Real Madrid cannot afford to lose a player of Vinicius' magnitude on a free transfer in 2 years' time. The club's history shows that when negotiations stall, the board is not afraid to make radical decisions. Cristiano Ronaldo was sold to Juventus in 2018 despite still performing at the highest level. Mesut Ozil, Ángel Di Maria, Casemiro, names that fans thought untouchable, all departed when circumstances aligned. Florentino Perez and the Madrid hierarchy value emotional attachment, but they value control and vision even more. If the renewal talks with Vinicius do not progress, the club might be forced to consider the unthinkable: a record-breaking transfer. Such an operation would be monumental. Vinicius, still only in his early 20s, already ranks among the world's top players. A potential sale could shatter the transfer fee world record, surpassing even Neymar's €222 million move to PSG. With those funds, Madrid would have the financial muscle to reshape the squad entirely. Rumors already point to heavy investments in midfield creativity with names like Florian Wirtz or Jamal Musiala, as well as reinforcements in full-back positions and a possible world-class striker to complement Kylian Mbappe, whose arrival marked another seismic shift. And overseeing all of this would be Xabi Alonso, the coach many expect to inherit the throne after Carlo Ancelotti and spearhead Madrid's next dynasty. Yet numbers and strategies cannot fully explain what Vinicius represents. For a vast sector of the fanbase, he is much more than goals and assists. He is a symbol of resilience, having faced racist abuse in stadiums across Spain and responding not with silence, but with courage, talent, and determination. He embodies the joy of football, the kind of unpredictability and spontaneity that makes fans fall in love with the game. To lose him would not simply mean losing a world-class winger, it would mean parting ways with an icon, with a player who connects emotionally with the supporters and who has become an ambassador for the club on and off the pitch. The fan base itself is deeply divided. Some argue that no player is bigger than Real Madrid, that the institution has always thrived by making pragmatic decisions, and that reinvesting a record fee could ensure competitiveness for the next decade. Others insist that selling Vinicius would be a catastrophic error, one that could haunt the club in the same way Barcelona still regrets letting Ronaldinho leave too soon, or how Madrid themselves took years to truly replace Cristiano Ronaldo. This is, in essence, a crossroads that could define an era. Vinicius Jr.'s future is not just a contractual issue. It is not merely an economic negotiation, nor even a tactical debate. It is a collision of ambition, strategy, sentiment, and identity. Should Real Madrid extend his contract and build their future around him, or should they embrace the financial opportunity of a record-breaking transfer and restructure their squad for the Xabi Alonso era? One thing is certain, whatever decision is made will resonate far beyond the walls of the Bernabeu. It will shape Madrid's sporting identity for years, alter the balance of power in European football, and perhaps even rewrite the personal legacy of a player who already stands as one of the brightest stars of his generation. And until the final outcome is clear, the football world will continue to hold its breath, watching closely as Real Madrid and Vinicius Jr. stand on the edge of history. Beyond the financial debate, there lies the undeniable reality of the football pitch and the human dynamics that surround it. The relationship between Vinicius and manager Xabi Alonso, which at one stage seemed full of promise and mutual benefit, has gradually been marked by tension, misunderstanding, and a series of decisions that have left the Brazilian forward feeling increasingly alienated. What once appeared to be a professional partnership capable of elevating both the player and the team has turned into a fragile bond tested by mistrust and frustration. Over the course of the season, Vinicius has found himself relegated to the substitutes bench in crucial matches. Even when he is part of the starting lineup, it has become rare for him to remain on the pitch for the full 90 minutes. Each early substitution, each tactical adjustment that excludes him, has been interpreted by the player as a signal of diminishing confidence. These gestures, while sometimes justified from a purely strategic perspective, have been magnified emotionally for a footballer who thrives on feeling indispensable. Vinicius is not just another forward. Since his breakthrough, he has been recognized for his exuberance, his joy, and his ability to inject unpredictability into matches. His dribbling, speed, and fearless style of play are often accompanied by an infectious smile, a symbol of his freedom and creativity on the field. But recently, that brightness appears dulled. Those close to him say he feels constrained, as though he is no longer allowed to express himself fully. The spark that once defined his football is dimmed by the perception that his coach no longer trusts him as the central figure he believes he is meant to be. This scenario raises a difficult but unavoidable question. Is it fair to retain a player who no longer feels like a protagonist, who perceives his role as secondary rather than central? Or would it be wiser, for both the individual and the institution, to allow him the opportunity to seek new horizons where he can once again flourish? This is not merely a tactical issue, it is an existential one for a player whose career has been built on the conviction that he was born to be a leading man, not a supporting actor. At precisely this crossroads, a new and powerful suitor has emerged: Saudi Arabia. In recent years, Saudi clubs have launched an aggressive campaign to lure international stars, and Vinicius now finds himself at the center of their latest ambition. The offer on the table is nothing short of staggering, a financial package that would secure him a generational fortune. Yet, more than that, the Saudis are presenting him with the promise of becoming the undisputed face of a rapidly expanding league. Unlike in Europe, where he must fight for protagonism in a crowded constellation of stars, in Saudi Arabia he would be elevated into the role of centerpiece, a living symbol of their footballing revolution. Meanwhile, European clubs are not indifferent. Interest exists from several sides, as no one doubts the extraordinary talent and match-winning potential Vinicius offers. But there is a reality that cannot be ignored. No European team, no matter how wealthy, is in a position to compete financially with the Saudi project. The traditional giants of the game may offer him the competitive platform, the glory of the Champions League, and the chance to test himself week in and week out against the very best. Yet when it comes to pure economic strength, the gulf is unbridgeable. In Brazil, the news of these possibilities has been met with a mixture of fascination and concern. The Brazilian press has been quick to react, amplifying voices from fans, analysts, and former internationals who fear that a move to a less competitive environment could stunt Vinicius' growth. The history of Brazilian football is replete with stars who made their names in Europe's toughest leagues, where the intensity of competition forged their greatness. For many in his homeland, the expectation is clear. The nation's brightest talents must measure themselves against the unforgiving demands of the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, or the Champions League. To trade that level of challenge for the relative comfort of the Saudi League, they argue, would represent a step backwards, not only in the eyes of the public but in terms of his effectiveness for the Brazilian national team. The Seleção, after all, relies on players accustomed to the highest standards, both physically and mentally. Reducing the intensity of weekly competition, critics warn, could diminish Vinicius' sharpness when Brazil needs him most. Yet the decision is not as straightforward as pundits make it seem. For a young man who has already experienced the pressures of elite football and the scrutiny of media, fans, and rivals, the appeal of financial security cannot be underestimated. The Saudi proposal offers not just a salary, but generational wealth, opportunities to invest, and the chance to become a pioneer in a project that seeks to rewrite the geography of world football. While some might frame this as a retreat, others could argue it is a pragmatic choice in an era where the sport itself has been redefined by money. Supporters are divided. Some believe Vinicius should fight for his place, prove Xabi Alonso wrong, and re-establish himself as an untouchable figure in Europe. Others sympathize with his frustrations, recognizing that a player cannot shine if his manager does not believe in him. Among the fanbase, debates rage on social media. Is loyalty to competition more valuable than financial freedom? Does legacy outweigh personal happiness? Or is it simply unrealistic to expect players, who risk their bodies and careers, to turn down life-changing offers in the name of tradition? Looking at the broader picture, Vinicius' case is emblematic of the dilemmas facing modern footballers. The sport is no longer governed solely by passion, rivalry, or the pursuit of trophies. It is increasingly shaped by financial powers that can rewrite the rules of the game overnight. His situation echoes that of other stars who chose similar paths. Some regained joy and security, while others faded into relative obscurity, their brilliance dimmed by the lack of meaningful competition. Ultimately, Vinicius stands at a pivotal moment in his career. The choice before him is not merely between two clubs or two leagues, but between two visions of what football means to him. On one side, there is the pursuit of glory in Europe, where every match is a battle and every victory hard-earned. On the other, there is the promise of economic power, celebrity status, and a new beginning in a league that may lack prestige but offers stability and reverence. Whatever he decides, the consequences will ripple far beyond his personal journey. His choice will shape how he is remembered, how Brazil prepares for its future, and how the footballing world continues to grapple with the tension between money and merit, between ambition and security, between the beautiful game as we once knew it and the globalized spectacle it is becoming. Here, the sentimental factor inevitably comes into play. Vinicius Jr. is not just another footballer. He is not a piece that can simply be replaced or traded without consequences. For Real Madrid supporters, he has become something more profound, a symbol of perseverance, a living example of resilience, and a bond that ties together the emotions of millions of fans around the world. His career trajectory in Madrid mirrors a classic story of struggle, doubt, and eventual triumph. When he first set foot in the Santiago Bernabéu, he was still a teenager carrying both the hope of Brazil and the weight of immense expectations. Critics did not spare him. His finishing was ridiculed, his decision-making questioned, and his potential was doubted by commentators who rushed to label him a talent that might never mature. For a period, every missed chance was amplified, every mistake exaggerated. To some, he was just another promise destined to fade. And yet, what followed was a transformation few could have predicted. Through relentless work, unwavering confidence, and a character forged under the brightest lights and harshest criticisms, Vinicius turned doubt into certainty. From the player who was once mocked for his lack of composure in front of goal, he grew into one of the deadliest offensive forces in European football. His evolution was not just technical but emotional. He became fearless, unshakable, and determined to prove that he was not merely a hopeful talent, but a footballer destined to leave a legacy. This metamorphosis explains why Vinicius today is more than a winger who scores and creates goals. He embodies an emotional chapter in the story of Real Madrid. To sell him would not only be a financial transaction, it would feel like tearing away a symbol of persistence and joy, a beacon of connection between the club and its supporters. The crowd sees in him both the vulnerability of youth and the glory of redemption. His smile, his dances after scoring, his passion for the badge. These are not just details, they are threads that weave the fabric of the modern Madridismo experience. But football, especially at the elite level, is not governed only by emotions. It is a game where cold, pragmatic decisions often define the success of a club. And this is where the true dilemma emerges. On one side of the debate stands the idea of retaining Vinicius as the cornerstone of the project. Keeping him would mean granting him the central role he has fought to earn, and most likely, awarding him a contract on par with the very top echelon of world football. This would place him as the face of the institution for years to come, the focal point around which the team would orbit. His presence would reassure the supporters, inspire new generations, and align with the club's tradition of possessing players who define eras, from Di Stefano to Raul, from Cristiano Ronaldo to Benzema. However, such a decision would also place significant constraints on the club's financial flexibility. A massive contract limits maneuverability. It forces the club to build around one star, taking the risk that his performance, health, and form will justify the sacrifice. On the other side lies the radical but strategically tempting possibility: selling him. Letting Vinicius go would undoubtedly break the hearts of many, but it would also provide Real Madrid with an extraordinary influx of resources. In a football economy increasingly defined by financial fair play regulations and the need for balanced books, a transfer of that magnitude could reshape the entire squad. With the funds generated, the club could bring in multiple players, rejuvenate several areas of the field, and plan a squad not around one symbol, but around a collective vision of strength. This would not be without precedent. The history of Real Madrid has repeatedly shown that the institution outlives its stars. When the time came, the club moved on from legends like Cristiano Ronaldo, Figo, Zidane, and even Alfredo Di Stefano. Each departure felt monumental, but the club endured, evolved, and ultimately found new heroes. This is why the dilemma cannot be reduced to a simple financial decision or an emotional attachment. It is, in essence, a crossroads between two philosophies. To keep Vinicius would be to affirm the belief that modern football still has room for symbols, for players who embody the identity of their club and carry it forward. To sell him would be to reaffirm the philosophy that the crest, the jersey, and the institution are eternal, while players, however brilliant, remain temporary. The magnitude of the question becomes even clearer when we consider the global impact. Vinicius is not only a star in Spain, he is an international brand, an icon in Brazil, and a figure admired across continents. His popularity extends beyond football. He represents diversity, joy, and cultural pride. Real Madrid, in keeping him, would be investing not only in goals and assists but in influence, in charisma, in marketability that transcends the game. His departure, conversely, would reshape the club's image and commercial strategy, forcing a recalibration of how Real Madrid presents itself to the world. And so, the debate remains wide open. To keep Vinicius is to build a future around him, granting him the chance to be the protagonist of the next great Madrid dynasty, with the risk of financial rigidity and dependence on one player. To sell Vinicius is to embrace the cold, strategic approach, securing massive funds, redistributing power across the squad, and betting on the long-standing Real Madrid tradition of renewal beyond individuals. Whichever path is chosen, the decision will mark not just the next few seasons, but an entire chapter in the history of the club. Real Madrid is standing at a turning point, either to embrace the emotional power of a player who embodies passion and resilience, or to remain faithful to its historical DNA, the constant pursuit of reinvention, the idea that the club itself is greater than any star. Madridistas, the question is now yours as much as it is the board's. Should the club fight to retain Vinicius at any cost, allowing him to become the emblem of a new golden era? Or should it capitalize on his immense market value to construct a new cycle, a renewed collective, a squad designed not around one man but around a vision of many? The answer will echo far beyond the stadium. It will define how Real Madrid sees itself, as a club of icons or as a machine of reinvention. And whatever the choice may be, one thing is certain: the decision will be remembered, debated, and analyzed for decades to come.